Hey, brothers and sisters. So, I wanted to share a testimony and a warning from a brother in South Africa. This brother in the Lord has been living in South Africa his entire life. He essentially wants to share his concerns and some of the things that he is seeing happening to his country in South Africa, potentially happening in America. And as a watchman on the wall, he just wanted to share his testimony and his experiences and what he has to say to us here in America. So without further ado, here is this brother from South Africa.
I'm sending this voice note as a warning or a concern to you guys over there in America. I'm not a big, look at this person, I'm not a big person, I'm not a big fan of politics. I don't look at politics. Politics doesn't interest me. But your guys' election that's coming up on the 5th of November is a bit of a concern, and it has caught my attention, especially with your two candidates, Harris and Trump. And if I look at the beliefs or what Harris wants to enforce if she becomes president, and the laws and things she wants to change and bring in, versus what Trump wants to do, I look at this and I think, that's bad, because a lot of it is very much to do in line with communism. The ideals that she wants to use, the logic behind it that she wants to use it with, and if I basically look at it, and if I compare it to what South Africa was before 1994 to what South Africa is now, I can see that happening. Already, just this current administration that you've got is destroying your government. Everybody knew America is, to be one of the superpower. Now, everybody looks at America, and you guys aren't. And it's, I'm talking from someone that's not in America, that's looking from the outside into what's happening there, and it's actually sad. Everybody grew up knowing that if there was a country in need or trouble or whatever, America would step in and save the day. But now your current administration has literally destroyed that reputation. America hasn't got the credibility that it used to hold. It's lost that because of your current administration that you have running in office. Before 1994, like I said, if I look at what it was, before 1994, South Africa was a safe place to live. Yes, we had crime. We had, there's no country that does not have crime. Before 94, it was safe for kids to walk in the streets. It was safe for women to walk in the street. It was safe for families to have get-togethers, and not have that fear of being robbed, which happens nowadays in South Africa. There weren't such things as 86-foot walls with electric fencing and razor wire, and your house is supposed to be a place where you can come home and relax, not come home to a prison, because that's what it currently is nowadays. The majority of the houses are prisons, where to prevent people from coming in, not for people to escape, but to prevent people from coming in. And I look at this and I think to myself, you guys are going to head that way. Crime is literally just going to escalate, especially with all these illegal immigrants that are being allowed to come over from Mexico and across over the borders. And I mean, just some of the things that I've read where, how they've attacked ranchers and farmers and, killed people. But at the end of the day, that is what's going to happen if Harris remains or gets into power. Now, I'm not going to say to people, you must vote Trump or vote Harris. No, that's at the end of the day, that's everyone's own decision. And that's a decision that they need to live with on whoever they vote for. But when when the ANC took power in 1994, things started off slowly deteriorating. Everybody was all for it and everything like that. And they slowly but surely over the next 30 years have stolen from this country. They have sold this country to the communists, to China, to Russia. They support terrorism and basically attack people that want to defend their own countries. But then again, the ANC was classified before 1994 as a terrorist organization that was involved in countless bombings, attacks on the civilians of South Africa. Nelson Mandela was mastermind in quite a few bombings. There was a bombing in the early 80s in Amanzimtoti at a shopping centre, which he masterminded. I mean, he's got plenty of blood on his hands from killing innocent people, and not only whites, but the black South Africans as well. He has their blood on his hands as well. The same with Jacob Zuma, Cyril Ramaphosa, Thabo Mbeki. All of them, they all have innocent blood on their hands. But yet people see them as heroes, which they are not. How has this country gone downhill since they have? Well, I mean, before 1994, there was security. People had security knowing that they would not be broken into, families murdered, women raped, husbands or children hacked to death with pangas, which happens now. The road infrastructure was good. I mean, there were hardly any potholes. I mean, potholes form. You cannot deny that. I mean, can't get away with it. But I mean, now, the local governments or any government or municipality that is under ANC rule, you have got major infrastructure problems. But back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, leading up to 94, and maybe up to about 2000-ish, the roads were still good. There was water. There was electricity. There was not. This load shedding was never ever heard of. It's only when the ANC government took over and literally everything just started going downhill. Whatever money was meant for Eskom, the post offices, any government infrastructure literally got put into their back pockets. It was stolen. Corruption literally just skyrocketed. I mean, you got politicians that are tendering for massive contracts, but they'll get a family member to go in under another company name, but they're like a silent director, and they are making billions off the government, and the jobs aren't done properly. The collapse of Eskom, because they literally chased away all the skilled engineers and brought in people that didn't know what they were doing, or unskilled engineers generators going down, power plants going down, because no one knew how to fix them. Water treatment plants collapsing, breaking down, because there wasn't that skilled knowledge to fix them, because they chased all of those skilled laborers away. Schooling was safe. I mean, nowadays, if you cannot afford a private school, or give your children a private education, you've got to put them in a government school. But I mean, it is dangerous. I mean, girls have been raped in the bathrooms by boys. I mean, the crime in schools is horrendous. The drugs, the violence, teachers don't have the capability or the experience to teach the children, are getting jobs or going on strike, or just not attending classes. I mean, the standard pass rates back in my days, was 50% to pass. Now it's 33% if you want to pass your first language. Sorry. You've got to look at from both sides of the story. I mean, yes, what the South African government did, the apartheid government did, yes, it was wrong. I'm not going to deny that. But on the other hand, those people were safe. They could walk down the streets and not walk in fear of being attacked, of being mugged, of being robbed, of being raped, of being murdered. They had food, they had electricity, they had free medical, they had free schooling, which the government paid for, which doesn't happen now. Now, whatever the government gives out is not enough to cover anything, because everything goes into corruption. And that is my concern, is if your current administration continues, they're going to do away with, most likely become almost like a dictatorship, where it's only be them. The fact that they want to sign into law that your police and your federal agents can now shoot people, innocent civilians, for standing up for what they believe in, is wrong. The fact that they allow for people to have abortions because they are, not pro-life. They are against what God has created. That's a big worry. We have the same here in our country as well, where you can go get abortions and all that. It's not illegal, but it can be done. But no one looks at it. I mean, our country is quite happily to murder white farmers they're bringing the food for the people, and they're quite happy to have them murdered. They're quite happy to take away land from farmers and redistribute it to people that claim that the land belongs to them, but it doesn't. And they will literally sell that land. They don't give it to those people. They sell that land to those people. And the land that is taken from the white farmers, they're not compensated for it. You literally get told, get off the land, and we're taking it. Now, before Zimbabwe, it was called Rhodesia. And Rhodesia was run by a white government, by the British government. And it was a very successful country, very successful. It was not in debt. It had food. They were feeding their population. They had everything. But then the country got taken over by Robert Mugabe from the ZANU-PF, and it went downhill. If you want to see what South Africa is going to look like if the ANC stays in power for the next 10 years, whatever. Perfect example is to look at Zimbabwe. You look at when it was formerly Rhodesia to where it is now, where there is no electricity, there is no running water, the economy is down the toilet, inflation is sky high, the healthcare is non-existent, their schooling is non-existent, the country is literally non-existent. They are literally living on food aid to support their people. The violence, the murder that is unprecedented there. We have a lot of Zimbabweans that come from or a lot of Zimbabweans that come over to South Africa to find work so that they can send money back to their families or food to their families in Zimbabwe. And that means they leave their families for a year, work a year in South Africa, go back over December with food and everything for their families for the year, come back the following year and do it, and that's how they work. Crime rate, as I said, has just skyrocketed as well. With me being in the security industry, you do get to see a lot of things. You get to see crimes that have been committed. You get to see the break-ins that occur, and they will literally destroy everything to get a few thousand rand. You don't walk here in South Africa with flashy jewelry all over you and all that, or driving. I mean, at one stage was a stage where people used to get their hands hacked off because of the jewelry. They don't rip it off, they'll just simply chop your hand off or your arm off just for your jewelry. I've experienced where we were in Witbank, in Mpumalanga, stopped at a robot, and these guys tried to, they ripped, I had a gold chain on that was given to me by my dad. They ripped that off my neck, tried to drag my wife out the car to distract me, and no one bothered to help. We've known of people that have been, that have come home down in Durban, and they walked into the house. They were surprised by about 4 or 5 black men. They knocked the husband unconscious, rolled him up in a blanket, in a mat, or rug, and they raped the wife in front of him. The countless farm murders, where it's sometimes not that it is the viciousness of the murders that they do on the farmers, where they will literally hack them to death, rape the woman, hack them to death, and kill them, just because. You've got other cases where a gardener, literally about a few months ago in Alberton, literally hacked the husband or the wife and the son to death. The husband came home, and the gardener then tried to attack him, but he managed to overpower him, and he found his wife and son chopped to death with an axe. So how's crime impacted everyone? Largely, like I said, everyone now lives with 6 to 8, 10-foot walls, electric fencing, razor wire, motorized gates, armed response, because you can't rely on our police force. Our police force are absolutely useless. You can report a crime, and they might only get to you in a week or two's time. That is how bad it is. And, they said because they're understaffed, because no one wants to join the police force, because the police force is so corrupt. If you want, you can get to a roadblock, and if you've got your license is expired or your driver's disc is expired, this is the level of corruption in our police force. You can slip them 100 or 200 rand note, and off you go. Nothing happens. They've got their lunch money, as we as we say. They've got their lunch money for the day, and there you go, and you don't pay. They won't fine you, they won't arrest you or anything. You can go away scot-free. There are areas in Johannesburg that are a no-go zone for white people. Hillbrow, Newlands. You got to be careful because you've got your gangs that run amok there. You've got Hillbrow, you've got your Nigerians and all of that have hijacked Hillbrow. And Hillbrow used to be one of the most beautiful suburbs in Johannesburg in the early 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Not anymore. You don't walk down that street. The police don't even go in there on New Year's Eve because of the violence. It's if they go in there, it's like they're going full riot gear. You have riots that, in KwaZulu-Natal about 2 years ago, orchestrated by Jacob Zuma's son, because his father was being prosecuted and all that for corruption. 4 days, literally shops destroyed, shopping centers destroyed, houses destroyed, people died. These guys just went on a rampage. There's footage of these guys literally carting out TVs, fridges, you name it, and the police are just standing back because they know they can't do anything because they're outnumbered. Those businesses lost millions. Businesses closed because of that loss. I mean, most of them aren't the government did help out, but only to a certain point. That your whole livelihood gone. Unemployment is through the roof here in South Africa. Nearly, I'd say over half the population of South Africa is unemployed. But it's because of the crime, of inflation, of this government just running this country into the ground. They're not trying to grow it, they're trying to destroy it. I mean, our government is basically just puppets that are run by the Chinese and by the Russians, by the communism. I mean, we belong to BRICS, and their whole game and their whole idea is to basically de-dollarize the world and to bring America down, which is bad. I mean, they don't support. They support, like I said, terrorists, because they are a terrorist organization that's running this country. But are very quick to, point the finger at countries that are defending themselves, and they'll take them to the International Criminal Court, to prove a point. But it just shows you how stupid our country is. And that is my concern, that will eventually, what is happening here in South Africa is going to happen in America. You can see it already with the way your country is going, your inflation, your economy and everything like that. But that's only with your current administration that you have. But you guys still have the chance to stop that. Do we want that for America? No. Maybe the people that are against America, yes. But for the people that aren't, no, we don't want that. Do we want to see what we have gone through, the chaos, the pain, the uneasiness of not knowing what tomorrow brings? For you guys, no. But at the end of the day, if people vote in Harris, that's going to happen. I do believe Trump is your better option. His values are in line with to keep you guys on track to getting you back on track to being a great nation. But then again, you just got to be very wary of who you listen to. But like I said, at the end of the day, he is your better option, your better choice. What advice would I give to America? Vote right. Vote right. That is your best opportunity you have. Vote right for the right person. right now, with regards to our religion, and as a Christian here living in South Africa, we have a point of freedom, but it is very limited. You can see that the Christian voice is being limited. They don't take into account what we say. During the pandemic, they made certainly sure that all the churches were closed and everything like that. And after the pandemic, a lot of people came back and churches weren't as full as they used to be. America must just wait for the right person. They must not vote with their heart, but they need to think properly. Because a lot of people, they play, what I've noticed with what I've seen is that Harris and them have played on people's emotions. People must use their minds, vote correctly, make sure you vote the right choice, and then you go from there. That is my warning to America. Vote right. Don't let America become a third world country like South Africa has become. You guys are a first world country. Let it remain a first world country. Don't become a third world country, because then whatever hope for peace or whatever hope there is for in your country will be gone. And that is what I don't want. There's a lot of good things in America. There's a lot of good people in America that will pay the price for other people's stupidity if they vote in Harris and that evilness behind it.